What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Utada Hikaru. Indeed, I've been remiss in that the J-drama related J-pop and J-rock reactions have fallen off a little bit, which is to say, Utada Hikaru is one of a number of artists whose music I originally became familiar with through a J-drama series. In this case, one of the ones that goes way back like 20 years ago to when I first started watching J-drama, and that is Hanayori Dango, starring, among many other people, Matsumoto Jun and Oguri Shun. And yeah, ultimately, her music features very prominently in both of the two seasons, which is to say, it's Hanayori Dango, then Hanayori Dango Returns, and then there's a movie that finishes it off, and then many years later, a sequel show called Hananochi Hare came out, which features some cameos from the people, including Matsumoto Jun, from the original Hanayori Dango, but that came out in 2018, 12 something years or so after the originals, and I think 8 years after the movie, because I think the movie was 2010, so the original run was 2010. Then many years later, they came out with Hatsukoi, or they came out with Hanayori Dango, and the main theme song of Hananochi Hare is Hatsukoi, which is the title track of the 2018 album by Utada Hikaru, which is interesting because her 1999 debut album, 19 years before that, is called First Love, but it's written in English, whereas the Hatsukoi album, it's written in Japanese, but it means the same thing. It's, your first love, your first real experience with romance. So it's interesting that almost 20 years after her debut album, she came back with an album essentially around the same concept, but framed in a different language. Nevertheless, I've gone through a few tunes on this album, and we're going to listen to the opening tune this time, called Play a Love Song. It's a simple concept. Again, I don't speak Japanese in any fluent sense. I know more words than I probably do any other language. Probably Spanish I speak better than any other language beside English, but I do know a lot of words in Japanese, but never enough to fully piece together. I'll know maybe a few words in a sentence, but it's not enough to get a sense of what it's about. So I can't really speak to the specifics of the song, but it definitely has a very emotional and passionate sound. It's sort of somewhere between dance pop and R&B pop. It has a mixture of both flavors. It's a tune where, after a friend of the channel, Ron, commented after listening to a couple of Utada Hikaru's tunes that it reminded him a bit of Kate Bush. It is one that I can now hear that. It's not because I hadn't heard Kate's music when I first started listening to Utada Hikaru, but now that I have gone through some of her catalog, I do feel like that's an apt comparison. So with no further ado, let's hear it. This is Utada Hikaru, her track Play a Love Song, and it's the first track on her 2008 album Hatsukoi, which again translates to First Love.
傷ついた時僕は一人しかいないせず深読みをしてしまう君は不安と戦う Oh
learning more about it slowly but surely. And indeed, this deep dive had fallen off, but through conversations about some J-drama with Dawn recently, came back onto my radar, and yeah, I'd like to go through the rest of this. And again, she's got a bunch of albums. I'm seeing if I can maybe pick up one or two more economically. But yeah, bottom line, once we get through all of this album, I would like to continue the Utada Hikaru deep dives. So shout out to her. Again, it's not just that like some of the like use of her vocals like in the actual primary vocal now sort of gives me Kate Bush vibes, but it's also the way her like vocals are often layered and sort of, you know, multifaceted as the song goes along. So again, shout out to Ron for many months ago before I really knew what Kate Bush's music was. And again, I realized there are other aspects where, you know, maybe people would draw notable differences, but he mentioned early on that like, hey, you know, it reminds me a bit of some Kate Bush, and now that I've heard a number of albums of Kate Bush, I feel like I understand that connection and comparison more. So in any case, shout out to Utada Hikaru, shout out to Kate Bush, shout out to Dawn for, like I said, reminding me that this deep dive had been quite a while since I'd gone back to it. And yeah, let me know what you think of this one. I will see you next time. Peace.